Today we are pleased to welcome one of the greatest geniuses in the history of humanity, a truly Renaissance mind whose legacy transcends centuries. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Historical Review with Leonardo da Vinci.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Leonardo, your work Mona Lisa is globally recognized and continues to captivate people's imaginations. What were you trying to capture or express with that enigmatic smile? And what sophisticated technique did you employ in this painting?
The Mona Lisa, call her La Gioconda, portrait was an exercise in technique, exploration of human complexity. While many find enigmatic, it's my fascination with the ambiguity of emotions. I wanted to capture something that was simultaneously inviting and reserved and hidden. The technique I used, sfumato, allowed me to soften the lines and color transitions, a more subtle interaction between light and shadow. Not only gives incredible liveliness to her face, but also creates an expression that seems to change depending on how and where you observe it. Anyways, I was trying to paint the soul, something that transcends our immediate understanding, invites deeper contemplation.
There is much debate and curiosity about the identity of the Mona Lisa. Could you tell us more about who she really was and what inspired you to paint this iconic portrait?
Certainly. Portrayed is Lisa Gherardini, the wife of Francesco del Giocondo, Florentine merchant, was commissioned to celebrate their new home and possibly to mark the birth of their son. What we don't realize is that beyond capturing her appearance, I sought to explore the nuances of human expression. I had a serene presence that allowed me to experiment with the sfumato technique, softening the lines and shadows in a way that her face transforms as the light changes and the viewing angle alters. Something new and challenging for me, a way to transcend simple portraiture and touch the realm of emotions and human psyche, presented both herself and the universality of human experience. This depth that I tried to immortalize on my canvas.
Without a doubt, the Mona Lisa is one of the most recognized and studied paintings in the art world. From your perspective, how and why did this work achieve such iconic status over the centuries?
Enduring fame of the Mona Lisa, intriguing phenomenon, I believe several facets contributed to it. The technique I employed allowed for a rendering of the human form with a delicacy and depth that had not been achieved previously. The technique creates an almost illusory effect where the contours softly fade like smoke, and the Mona Lisa's expression to change with light and distance for a mysterious and lifelike quality. Additionally, of the painting in 1911 and its subsequent recovery catapulted its fame. It was widely publicized, capturing the public's imagination worldwide. The Mona Lisa became a symbol of mystery and beauty that transcended cultural boundaries. Finally, the proliferation of reproductions and references in popular culture solidified its presence. Generations rediscovered the Mona Lisa, bringing new interpretations and appreciations, perpetuating its legacy.
Leonardo, after completing the Mona Lisa, how long did it take for you and the work to gain the fame you have today? Did you witness this recognition in your lifetime?
Fame is a curious phenomenon. It does not manifest in the same way for all artists. In my lifetime, I was recognized primarily as a painter, scientist, on the scale that my work achieved posthumously. Mona Lisa, well regarded and appreciated among my contemporaries and patrons. True rise to worldwide fame occurred long after my death. The painting was kept in royal collections and was not exposed to the general public for a long time. After being permanently installed in the Louvre, and especially after the notorious theft in the early 20th century, did it begin to attract massive global attention, or not witness the monumental fame that the Mona Lisa or I myself have achieved. In my life, I was respected and admired. The magnitude of the fame that came later, did not foresee.
Your life has been the subject of admiration and curiosity for many centuries. Could you share with us a bit about your childhood and how your interest in art was sparked?
Childhood was quite modest and tranquil, marked by the natural beauty of the Tuscan landscapes. Born in 1452 in Vinci, legitimate son of a legal notary, Ser Piero, peasant woman, Caterina, up in my father's house amidst a rural environment, which I believe sharpened my curiosity about the natural world from an early age. Entered my life somewhat serendipitously, initially destined for a legal career following in my father's footsteps. Artistic talent I began to show at a young age did not go unnoticed. Father, recognizing this ability when I was about 14, introduced me to Andrea del Verrocchio, renowned artist in Florence. Under Verrocchio's tutelage that I truly began to study and practice the arts. Painting, sculpture, and even engineering in his workshop was decisive. I refined my artistic skills and developed a deep interest in anatomy, science, and mechanics. It manifested in my various notebooks of studies. This phase of my life was crucial crucial. I not only learned art techniques, so began to see art as a way to explore and understand the world around me. Curiosity that was awakened in my rustic childhood, and art and science the perfect means for its expression.
You mentioned that your father played an important role in recognizing and supporting your artistic abilities. Could you tell us more about how his encouragement was important to your artistic development?
Yes, indeed. My father's role was fundamental at the beginning of my artistic journey. Ser Piero, although a notary and man of law, had an appreciation for art and culture typical of the Italian Renaissance. He noticed my interest and ability to draw from a very young age and decided that I should follow a path that could cultivate these skills rather than force me into a legal career. By introducing me to Andrea del Verrocchio, my father gave me the opportunity to learn from one of the most respected masters in Florence, and placed me in an environment where I could connect with other artists, theorists, and mechanics. This greatly expanded my horizons and allowed me to explore various disciplines. Without my father's initial recognition and support, my passion for art and science might not have received the fertile ground to grow. Therefore, I consider his influence decisive for what I came to achieve in my life.
After your early years of learning with Andrea del Verrocchio, where did your art and ideas take you? How did this initial experience influence your subsequent works?
Training with Verrocchio was a period of intense learning and discovery. His guidance explored painting, sculpture, engineering, and metallurgy that fascinated me equally. A few years and accepting commissions on my own, the start of my independent career. First major projects I undertook, altarpiece for the chapel of the Palazzo Vecchio, that unfortunately survived to this day. During this period that I developed the Annunciation, my early works that exemplifies the use of aerial perspective, technique I refined over the years. Experience with Verrocchio taught me the importance of realism and anatomical precision that I carried throughout my career. Evident in the detailed anatomical studies I conducted later, transformed my art, so provided significant insights for science of the time. Leaving Verrocchio's workshop to Milan, served Ludovico Sforza. My focus expanded further to include architectural projects, history and sculptures, course scientific investigations. Phase of my life by an expansion of the scope of what art could encompass, rating it with technology, natural investigation.
Leonardo, you had the opportunity to learn and work under the tutelage of two influential figures of your time, Andrea del Verrocchio in Florence and Ludovico Sforza in Milan. Could you tell us a bit more about the differences in the lessons and experiences you had with each of them?
Certainly. The workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio in Florence was my first formal learning environment, and there the emphasis was on artistic technique, anatomical precision, and the exploration of various materials like bronze and wood. Verrocchio encouraged a holistic approach, where art was not separated from the study of nature and science. It was a period in which I developed fundamental skills and began to shape my artistic vision. In contrast, my time in Milan under the patronage of Ludovico Sforza offered me the opportunity to apply and expand these skills on a much larger scale. Ludovico was an ambitious and visionary leader, interested in using art and science to beautify and strengthen his legacy. Under his aegis, my work was not limited to painting or sculpture, but extended to civil engineering projects, architecture, and even urban planning. I had the freedom and resources to conduct extensive anatomical and mechanical research, which was less viable in Florence due to resource and space constraints. Thus, while Verrocchio provided the foundation of my technical skills and my love for detailed precision, Ludovico provided a stage for the practical application of these skills in much grander and diverse projects. In Milan, I could truly explore the intersection of art with public functionality, which greatly expanded the scope of my career and works.
Was it during your time in Milan, under the patronage of Ludovico Sforza, that you began conducting human dissections? Can you tell us more about how you started these detailed studies in anatomy?
Yes, it was in Milan that I began conducting human dissections with greater frequency and depth. Ludovico Sforza provided an environment where scientific investigation was encouraged, and I had access to resources that allowed such studies. My interest in anatomy was not new. It had begun in Florence, but it was in Milan that I could truly deepen my understanding of the human body. With the permission of hospitals and the collaboration of doctors, I started dissecting human bodies to better understand the mechanics of movement and the structure of muscles. These studies were conducted with a dual purpose: to improve my art, allowing me to represent the human form with unprecedented accuracy, and to expand my scientific knowledge of the internal workings of the human body. The dissections also fueled my curiosity about various other aspects of physiology and led me to questions about the functioning of organs and the nature of life and death. I compiled many of these studies in my notebooks, which included detailed anatomical illustrations, some of which are still considered extraordinarily accurate and ahead of my time.
Throughout your life, you accumulated experiences in an impressive variety of fields. Is there any fact about you that is little known, something that might surprise even your most fervent admirers?
One of the lesser discussed aspects of my life that might surprise some is my deep connection with music. Although widely recognized for my skills in painting, sculpture, and science, I was also a skilled musician. I played the lyre, an instrument that was both a source of personal pleasure and a means of experimentation with sound and acoustics. Additionally, another lesser-known fact is my involvement with theater. In Milan, under the patronage of Ludovico Sforza, I organized and participated in several theatrical productions for the court. These were not merely entertainment. I saw them as an extension of my investigations into human nature and expression. I designed complex sets and stage mechanisms, exploring the effects of light and shadow as I did in my paintings. These interests reflect my love for spectacle and drama, whether on the canvas, on stage, or in the pages of my notebooks. I believe that the combination of music and theater with the visual arts and science offered me a richer and more integrated vision of the beauty and complexity of the world.
Many consider your vision and achievements to have been so ahead of their time that it almost seems supernatural. Some even speculate if you could be the reincarnation of a spirit from another era or a more evolved galaxy. What do you think of these ideas?
These are fascinating and flattering ideas, no doubt. However, my life and work were guided by an insatiable curiosity and a deep desire to understand the world around me. From a young age, I was driven by the observation of nature and the attempt to replicate its beauty and complexity through art and invention. My approach was grounded in careful observation, practical experimentation, and rigorous study, principles that anyone can apply. Perhaps what sets me apart is the breadth of interests I sought to integrate, from anatomy to engineering, from painting to botany. While the idea of being a reincarnation or having origins beyond this world is intriguing, I would attribute my advancement more to my relentless desire to learn and explore than to anything extraordinary. It is the power of the human mind, when applied with passion and dedication, that can achieve accomplishments that seem beyond their time.
Your studies and achievements not only revolutionized art, but also had a significant impact in several other areas. Which contributions do you consider your greatest to the world beyond art?
While many may know me primarily as an artist, I dedicated much of my life to the study of natural phenomena and inventions. One of the areas where I believe I made significant contributions is engineering. The designs for flying machines, for example, although never built in my time, anticipated the modern concept of helicopters and delta wings. My investigations into the flight of birds led me to draw these machines, which I hoped would one day allow man to fly. Another important contribution was in the field of anatomy. The detailed dissections I conducted resulted in drawings that are considered some of the most accurate anatomical studies until the advent of modern technology. They improved the understanding of the human body and helped form the basis for future medical studies. I explored and documented phenomena related to water, light, and mechanics, which have applications in physics and engineering. My investigations into the nature of light and perspective were fundamental to the development of optics and visual perception. Finally, I also ventured into urban planning projects, proposing solutions to traffic and sanitation problems that foreshadowed modern urban planning theories. Therefore, I believe that my relentless curiosity allowed me to explore various fields and make pioneering contributions to several branches of human knowledge, going well beyond art.
After your time serving Ludovico Sforza in Milan, what happened in your life and career, and the political circumstances in the city changed?
After the French invasion of Milan in 1499 and the fall of Ludovico Sforza, I was forced to reconsider my position and opportunities. The political instability meant it was necessary to seek new patrons and new environments where I could continue my work. So, I left Milan and spent some time traveling through various Italian cities, including Venice and Mantua, before finally settling in Florence again. In Florence, I continued to work on various artistic and scientific commissions. It was during this period that I painted some of my other famous works, such such as The Virgin of the Rocks and The Virgin and Child with St. Anne. I was also absorbed by civil engineering projects, hydrodynamic studies, and even the planning of military strategies for the city's defense. After a few years in Florence, I was invited to Rome, where Pope Leo XVI, a member of the powerful Medici family, offered me patronage. There, I dedicated myself even more to scientific studies, as artistic commissions had begun to decline. My life in Rome was more contemplative, dedicated to research and study, which allowed me to deepen my understanding of the world. Finally, in the last years of my life, I was invited to France by King Francis V, who offered me generous patronage and the opportunity to work freely on my personal projects. It was a period of great respect and recognition, even though I was far from my homeland.
Leonardo, one of the most intriguing feats attributed to you is the construction of a robot or an automated mechanical figure. Is it true that you created such an invention? Where did the idea for this project so advanced for your time come from?
Oh yes, it is true. During my stay in Milan, I developed what many would call a robot. This machine was a medieval armor designed to mimic human movements. The idea arose from my continuous fascination with human anatomy and the desire to understand how muscles move the human body. I was deeply interested in mechanisms and how inanimate objects could be moved through systems of gears and cables. The creation of this mechanical figure was also motivated by the desire to impress and entertain the court of Ludovico Sforza. The machine could sit, raise its arms, and move its head through a complex system of gears and cables, something that certainly seemed magical at the time. It was a demonstration not only of art, but of engineering and mechanical innovation. This project was in many ways a junction of my art with my passion for engineering and science, demonstrating how the boundaries between disciplines can be blurred to create something truly extraordinary.
Throughout your life, you created numerous works and studies in various fields. Looking back, which achievements would you consider the most important or the ones you are most proud of?
In retrospect, it is difficult to select just a few achievements, as each represented a step in my relentless quest for knowledge and beauty. However, I can highlight some accomplishments that I consider significant, not only for what they produced, but for what they represented in my journey. First, the Mona Lisa is undoubtedly one of my most known and appreciated accomplishments. Second, my anatomical studies that significantly advanced the understanding of the human body. They contributed to medicine by providing a deeper and more detailed knowledge of human anatomy, which was referenced for many years after my death. Lastly, I consider the Bronze Horse Project, the Gran Cavallo for Ludovico Sforza, one of my most ambitious feats, even though it was never completed. This project challenged my skills as a sculptor and engineer and symbolized the grandeur and vision I always aspired to in my works. These works and studies are just examples of a life dedicated to exploration and innovation. Each of them represents a facet of my passion for learning and for transcending the limits of knowledge and artistic expression of my time.
Are you enjoying the interview? Don't forget to leave a like. This will strengthen the channel, helping us bring more content like this. Apart from the Mona Lisa, could you list 3 of your paintings that you consider essential and explain why they are so significant?
Although the Mona Lisa is often highlighted, I have other works that also carry great personal and artistic significance. Allow me to share 3 of them that I consider particularly impactful. First, The Last Supper, which is on the wall of the refectory of the convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie in Milan. This painting is revolutionary for its dramatic composition and use of perspective that directs the viewer's gaze directly to the central moment of the biblical narrative, the apostles' reaction to the announcement that one of them will betray Jesus. The technique and emotion captured in this work transform the representation of religious scenes in art. Second, The Vitruvian Man, which is actually a drawing but of utmost importance. It ideally represents the proportions of the human body within a circle and a square, illustrating my quest for harmony between art and science. This drawing symbolizes the union of anatomical knowledge and geometric aesthetics, fundamentals that permeate not only art, but the entire human understanding of the world. Lastly, The Virgin of the Rocks is another work I highlight. There are 2 versions of this painting, and both exemplify my sfumato style, as well as innovate in the representation of religious figures in natural environments rather than just on golden or stylized backgrounds, as was common. This approach enhances the sacredness of the figures and celebrates the beauty of the natural world as divine creation. Each of these works represents a turning point in my career and in the history of art, where I sought to challenge and expand the boundaries of what art could express and how it could touch the depths of human experience.
What other artworks do you consider the greatest paintings in history, those that, like yours, have left an indelible mark on the trajectory of world art.
The history of art is filled with works that not only demonstrate exceptional technical skill, but also capture the essence of their times and provoke deep reflection. First, The Last Supper, also by me, is a fundamental work as it innovates in the representation of a biblical scene with emotional depth and composition that challenge the conventions of the time. From the Florentine school, we have The Birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli, which with its celestial grace and beauty captures the essence of the Renaissance's renewed interest in classical mythology and Greco-Roman aesthetics. Moving forward in time, Las Meninas by Diego Velázquez is a work that revolutionizes the technique of perspective and the interaction of the subject with the observer, a truly meta-reflective piece on painting and observation. In the more modern context, The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, with its expressive brushstrokes and vibrant use of color, brings a new dimension to emotional expression in art, showing inner turmoil through the turbulence of the starry sky. Each of these works not only advanced the pictorial technique of their time, but also offered new ways of seeing and understanding the world. They continue to inspire and challenge artists and art lovers worldwide.
Leonardo, much is said about your artistic and scientific contributions, but we know relatively little about your personal life. Could you share a bit more about this aspect?
My personal life, perhaps not as documented as my professional achievements, was certainly rich in relationships and experiences. I never married nor had children. My life was entirely dedicated to my art, science, and the various intellectual interests that always moved me. I grew up in Vinci, in my father's house, but spent most of my adult life in other cities like Florence, Milan, and eventually France. These changes of scenery were motivated by work opportunities and my desire to learn and explore new ideas. I had many friends and colleagues over the years with whom I shared ideas and collaborated on various projects. My students and assistants often became like family to me, especially in my later years. They helped in my work and provided companionship and comfort in my daily life. I had great empathy for animals and often bought caged birds just to set them free. This compassion extended to my vegetarianism, an uncommon choice at the time, but one that reflected my respect for all forms of life. In terms of my spiritual life, while I respected religious beliefs, I was always guided more by curiosity about the natural world and the desire to understand the mysteries of creation through observation and study rather than following established doctrines. Although perhaps less conventional compared to the standards of my time, my personal life was deeply enriched by my passions and the people I met along the way.
Was there room for romance or someone special who marked your heart in any way?
My life, as well noted, was primarily dedicated to my intellectual and artistic passions. Regarding matters of the heart, I never married, and little is known about romances in my life, as I kept my personal life quite private. However, it is true that I had deep and significant friendships, some of which were with young, talented men who were my students and assistants. These relationships were based on mutual respect and a shared passion for the arts and sciences. For example, Salai, who joined my workshop as a young boy, remained with me for over 2 decades, and his presence was a constant in my life, although our relationship was complex and sometimes turbulent. Additionally, I had a close and lasting relationship with Francesco Melzi, whom I met later in my career. He became a dedicated companion, helping me with my work and taking care of my affairs until the end of my life. Melzi was undoubtedly one of the most important people to me, offering support and friendship that transcended mere professional collaboration. These connections, while not romantic in the conventional sense, were essential to my happiness and emotional well-being. They provided companionship and inspiration essential to my creative journey.
Did you have any disciple you felt truly continued your legacy or carried forward your ideas and techniques?
Indeed, I had the privilege of working with many talented young people in my workshop, each bringing their own vision and skill. Francesco Melzi stands out as someone who not only absorbed my techniques and knowledge, but also dedicated himself to preserving and continuing my legacy after my death. Francesco Melzi accompanied me until the end of my life in France and was the heir to my notebooks and drawings. He deeply understood the substance and spirit of my work and endeavored to organize and preserve my writings and paintings. Although Melzi did not achieve independent fame as an artist, his role as the guardian of my works and ideas was crucial in ensuring that my legacy was not lost over time. Besides him, I had other students like Gian Giacomo Caprotti, known as Salai, and Bernardino Luigi Luini, who also absorbed significant aspects of my technique and style, although they followed somewhat different artistic paths. Luini, in particular, was effective in spreading the Leonardesque style in Lombardy, adapting it in a way that became widely recognized and appreciated. These disciples, each in their own way, helped disseminate my artistic and scientific innovations, each adding their own touch and interpretation, but always maintaining respect for the core of my ideas and techniques.
Could you tell us a bit more about your personality? How would you describe yourself in terms of character traits and temperament?
I was above all an observer, attentive to the details of the natural and human world that many might overlook. This attention to detail was reflected in my work and in my personal interactions. In terms of temperament, I considered myself peaceful and contemplative, but not without passions. These, however, were more often directed towards my projects and investigations rather than matters of conflict or discord. I had great patience for the meticulous work that art and science require and a willingness to teach and share my knowledge with others. Friends and colleagues also described me as kind and generous. Additionally, I had a strong empathy for animals. This respect for life extended to how I treated others, always seeking to learn from the people around me, regardless of their status or profession. However, I was known for my tendency to procrastinate on certain projects, often leaving works unfinished, not for lack of interest, but due to a perfectionist desire to continuously improve them. This revealed an aspect of my personality that always struggled with the ideal versus the practical reality of hours and available resources.
Considering the turbulent political changes of your time, how did a gentle and educated man like you manage to stay and thrive in such conditions?
Navigating the complex waters of the Italian courts, and later the French court, required more than artistic skill. It required political acumen and the ability to adapt. Despite my gentle nature, I was always very observant and astute regarding the movements and motivations of those around me. This ability to read situations and individuals was crucial for my survival and success in an often unstable environment. Additionally, my approach to work, always seeking to innovate and apply knowledge in practical ways, proved valuable to my patrons. Whether designing fortifications for Cesare Borgia or conceptualizing theatrical spectacles for Ludovico Sforza, I aimed to offer something unique and undeniably valuable. This utility, combined with my discreet personal conduct, helped me maintain the favor of powerful figures despite frequent changes in power. I also learned to be flexible and adaptable, moving from city to city and patron to patron when necessary. This flexibility allowed me to continue my work and studies even under difficult political conditions. Finally, I always maintained a certain emotional distance from power struggles, focusing on my work and passions, which often allowed me to avoid being directly involved in conflicts. It was my keen observation, adaptability, and ability to provide invaluable work that allowed me to navigate the political changes of my time.
Leonardo, could you share with us how your last days were and how your death occurred? How old were you at the time?
My last days were spent in France, in the beautiful estate of Clos-Lucé, near the castle of Amboise, which was kindly given to me by King Francis I of France. The king, who had great respect for my work, provided me with a comfortable environment where I could continue my studies and paintings, even as my health declined. I died on May 2, 1519, at the age of 67. My health was already fragile due to a likely paralysis on the right side of my body, which made it difficult for me to paint with my right hand as before. However, I continued to teach and work with my left hand, remaining intellectually active until my last days. It is believed that I died of natural causes, possibly a stroke. According to reports, I died in the arms of King Francis I, which may be more of a romantic legend than a historical fact, but it illustrates the esteem the king had for me and the closeness we developed during my time in France. My last days were peaceful, and I spent a lot of time reflecting on my life and work. I left instructions for my notebooks and works to be given to Francesco Melzi, my loyal student and friend, hoping that he would continue to preserve and share my legacy.
We know that you left a large amount of manuscripts and notes covering a variety of topics. Could you tell us a bit about these manuscripts that were not published during your lifetime? Are there discoveries or ideas in them that you considered especially revolutionary?
Certainly. My manuscripts are a vast compendium of my thoughts and investigations, many of which remained private during my lifetime, not by choice, but perhaps due to lack of time or means to publish them. These manuscripts cover everything from detailed studies of anatomy, mechanics, optics, and hydraulics, to philosophical reflections and theories about the nature of the universe. A notable example is the Codex Leicester, one of my many notebooks that explores questions about water, its movements and properties. In it, I investigate how light reflects on water and how marine fossils can be found in the mountains, anticipating geological theories that would only be formally developed centuries later. Another area I extensively explored in my manuscripts was the idea of flight. I drew several flying machines, including the ornithopter and the parachute, which could have revolutionized transportation if they had been built. These ideas show not only my curiosity, but also my desire to push the boundaries of the possible.
Your work has had an indelible impact. Could you talk about some of the personalities who were influenced by your theories and works, both in your time and in later periods?
My interdisciplinary approach, commitment to detailed observation and experimentation inspired many who came after me. In art, contemporaries like Raphael and Michelangelo absorbed some of the advances I made in perspective and anatomy, employing them in their own majestic works. In science, figures like Galileo Galilei were influenced by my meticulous documentation of the natural world and my use of mechanical devices. Later, during the Renaissance and Enlightenment, my manuscripts influenced scientists and thinkers seeking a deeper understanding of physics and engineering. Even in more modern times, inventors like the Wright brothers, pioneers of aviation, may have been indirectly inspired by my designs and drawings of flying machines. My unwavering curiosity and desire to understand the fundamental principles of nature continue to be a beacon for those who seek to innovate and explore the unknown.
Leonardo, looking back at your entire life and considering your numerous achievements in so many different fields, how do you evaluate your existence? Do you feel satisfied with what you have accomplished?
My existence was marked by an incessant quest for knowledge and understanding of the world around me. In every painting, every anatomical study, every engineering project, I saw an opportunity to explore and unravel the mysteries of nature and human experience. I evaluate my life with a sense of profound respect for the process of continuous learning. Although I never felt that my work was complete or perfect, I am satisfied for having persevered in my passion for learning and for contributing in some way to the advancement of the arts and sciences. My notebooks, filled with sketches and ideas, are witnesses to my constant curiosity and dedication to understanding, and I hope they continue to inspire others far beyond my time. I look back and see a life not measured by successes or failures, but by the joy of discovery and the love for true understanding. Even though not all of my ambitions were realized and many projects remained unfinished, each effort was a step towards a greater understanding of the world's complexity. Yes, I feel satisfied, not for having achieved perfection, but for having lived a life of constant inquiry and passion, dedicating my spirit to what I loved most, the endless journey of knowledge and creative expression.
Leonardo, as we conclude this fascinating conversation, I would like to ask you one last question. Looking to the future, what message or advice would you like to leave for future generations of artists, scientists, and thinkers seeking inspiration in your legacy?
To future artists, scientists, and thinkers, I would say, never stop being curious. Curiosity is the flame that illuminates the path of innovation and knowledge. Allow yourselves to explore broadly, beyond the boundaries of your disciplines, for it is at the intersection of fields of knowledge that true discoveries are often made. Cultivate patience and persistence. Many of my projects took years to develop, and some remained incomplete. The journey towards knowledge and mastery is long and often challenging, but it is extremely rewarding. Finally, seek balance between logic and imagination, technique and expression. The beauty of art lies not only in its execution, but in what it evokes in the human spirit. Similarly, science is not just the accumulation of facts, but a way to understand more deeply the world and our place in it. I hope you find inspiration in my work, and that it motivates you to explore, question, and create with courage and passion. The future belongs to those who see possibilities where others see obstacles. May curiosity always guide your journeys.
Leonardo, it has been an extraordinary honor and privilege to have this conversation with you. Your wisdom and insights are as relevant today as they were in your own time. On behalf of all our viewers, I would like to thank you immensely for sharing your time and reflections with us.
I thank you and everyone who followed our conversation. It is a great satisfaction to know that even after centuries, my work and ideas still inspire curiosity and admiration. I am honored to have had this opportunity to connect with people so distant in time and space, and I hope the seeds planted here flourish in new discoveries and creations. Thank you very much for listening to me, and may the pursuit of knowledge always continue in your hearts and minds.
Leonardo da Vinci lived during the Renaissance, a period of cultural and scientific renewal that marked the transition from the Middle Ages to modernity, predominantly in Europe. This was a time of great discoveries and innovations, occurring approximately between the 14th and 17th centuries. Artistic innovation. The Renaissance began in Italy and spread throughout Europe. It was characterized by a flourishing of the arts, with artists like Michelangelo, Raphael, and, of course, Leonardo da Vinci, who revolutionized the way of representing humans and nature, focusing on realism, perspective, and correct human proportions. Scientific discoveries. This period also witnessed significant advances in science. The scientific method began to take shape, emphasizing observation and experimentation. Figures like Copernicus and Galileo challenged previous notions about the cosmos, proposing that the Earth revolved around the Sun. Geographical exploration. It was the age of great explorations. Navigators like Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Ferdinand Magellan embarked on voyages that expanded the maps of the known world, connecting continents through new maritime routes and inaugurating global trade. Political transformations. Politically, Europe was fragmented into various states and kingdoms, where power frequently changed hands among noble families like the Medici in Italy. This was also a period of the formation of more centralized nation-states, such as Spain and France. Technological and cultural innovations. The invention of the printing press by Gutenberg revolutionized the dissemination of knowledge, making books more accessible and fostering an era of broader literacy and education in Europe. Living at the heart of this era of profound changes, Leonardo da Vinci personified the Renaissance spirit with his insatiable curiosity and his ability to transcend the boundaries between art, science, and technology. His legacy is not only a testament to his genius, but also a vibrant reflection of the dynamic world in which he lived. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Please leave a like and follow Resenha Historica for more content like this.